call the meeting of the Wilsonville City Council to order. Will the city recorder please call the roll?
Councilor Winville?
Here.
Councilor West?
Here.
Council President Aukervall?
Here.
Councilor Lehan?
Here.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Here. We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will just say that I really enjoy saying the flag salute in person.
I'm happy to hand that duty over to you, Mayor.
Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
Your Honor, I move to approve the order of agenda.
Second?
Was that second? Yeah, I'll second. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to mess up the procedure, but we were going to add something to communications, so maybe you want to.
Yeah. Do I amend it?
Excuse me. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you're asking me,
So then my discussion,
Second, and now we're
Okay.
discussing.
my
Yes.
discussion item would be perhaps you want to amend it to include that item on communications.
Beckman Bridge.
I would like to amend my motion to include the Beckman Bridge communications with staff.
Thank you.
And then do we have to vote on both those?
You just have to vote on the amendment and then you vote on the final.
Okay.
Is there a, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor of the
Motion.
original motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Aukervall. I welcome assistance. So we will discuss the Beckman Bridge financing at the communications segment. I want to, under mayor's business, I wanted to let everyone know that the next meeting of the city council will be Monday, June 21st. The first thing I'd like to talk about, and I will ask Brian, are we having a discussion on the Juneteenth celebration under communications?
I would be happy to, after you read the proclamation, talk about the plan for that event if you'd like me to, or you can as well. You sat in on the meeting, and I'd be happy.
Well, that's true. You had the last communications, but
Happy to.
I will say that as we've all discussed, we just started a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. They were just appointed, and they are just at the very beginning of starting to work together. And one of the members of the committee, Imran Haider, suggested that he would just love to float the idea of having a very, very informal Juneteenth celebration this year, rather than maybe waiting a whole year when you could do a very elaborate plan. And so that there is going to be an informal, fun Juneteenth celebration at Town Center Park. We have some posters here. You can find more about it on the city website. It is a day of recognition and celebration. We had a meeting with Trey Hester and Imran Haider and
Aaron Woods.
Aaron Woods as well, with some of the city staff, and it was their idea to put this together. The idea is to gather and reflect and celebrate freedom, liberation, and emancipation. It will be at Town Center Park on June 19th at 10 a.m. We also have our library put together a list of reading suggestions for everyone to take advantage of, and I think many or all of those is a curated list by the Wilsonville Public Library. So you can find out more about the celebration. You can just go to Town Center Park at 10 a.m. and you'll have a good time.
Light refreshments.
Thank you. And so it was a real, it was a lot of fun to talk about this idea with these citizens, and I look forward to it. And I'd like to read the Juneteenth proclamation, declaring June 19th, 2021 as the celebration of Juneteenth in Wilsonville, whereas the Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order issued by President Abraham Lincoln on September 22nd, 1862, effective January 1st, 1863, that freed approximately 3.5 million slaves in the Confederate States. And whereas, while President Abraham Lincoln had officially freed the slaves, enforcement of this order became difficult to enforce in areas where there were few Union soldiers. Texas, in particular, remained unaffected as it was geographically isolated from Union troops, and thus was the last Confederate state to have the proclamation amended. And whereas many slave owners moved to Texas looking to not be affected by the enforcement of the proclamation, by the end of the Civil War on April 9th, 1865, the number of slaves in Texas had increased by tens of thousands despite the proclamation. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger of the Headquarters District of Texas in Galveston, with more than 2,000 Union troops, traveled to every county in Texas, informing the people that all slaves were free. And whereas the Juneteenth celebration was started a year later in Texas to celebrate the importance of June 19th with the announcement that slavery had been abolished. It was from this celebration that Juneteenth, June combined with 19th, was born. And whereas Juneteenth is celebrated in 47 of the 50 states, Oregon being one of them, but it is not officially recognized as a national holiday. And whereas traditions include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, singing traditional songs such as Sweet Low, Sweet Chariot, and Lift Every Voice and Sing, and reading of works by the noted African-American writers such as Ralph Ellison and Maya Angelou, as well as sharing of slave food delicacies, including the barbecue pit and certain foods that become popular and synonymous with Juneteenth celebrations, such as strawberry soda pop. Now, therefore, I, Julie Fitzgerald, Mayor of Wilsonville, encourage all citizens to join with our neighbors in Wilsonville's African-American community to declare June 19th, 2021 as celebration of Juneteenth in Wilsonville, dated the 7th day of June, 2021. So thank you.
And you will be reading this proclamation at the event?
Yes.
Yes.
But that will be, they have asked me to read this. Prior to that, some of the other citizens I talked about have some readings and observations they will make. This is also an opportunity for me to ask for the council to ratify appointments to some of the boards and commissions. We still have a little more work to do at our next meeting, some other openings. At this point, I am recommending the appointment of the one position that's open on the Development Review Board Panel B, which is appointment of Catherine Dunwell to the Development Review Board Panel B for a term beginning July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Is there a motion to ratify that?
Your Honor, I move to ratify the appointment of Catherine Dunwell to the Development Review Board Panel B for a term beginning 7/1/2021 to 12/31/2022.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and I have about 3 more of these, so stay with me. Regarding, we have an...
Your Honor, I would just suggest you don't need to read the whole term.
The dates. Okay, I'll leave
Just-
that out. That was
just,
short.
because she's going to say it, I mean, the motioner's going to say it also.
Reading mode.
I see that, I see that.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to appoint Joseph Mallett to the Library Board. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I would move to ratify the appointment of Joseph Mallett to the Library Board for a term beginning 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2025.
Thank you for,
Yeah,
Is there
sorry.
a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I would recommend reappointing two people whose terms are up for renewal, and that is to the Tourism Promotion Committee, and those two people are Brian Everest and Lizbeth Price.
Your Honor, I move to ratify the reappointments of Brian Everest and Elizabeth, is it Elizabeth? That's it, right?
Yes.
Elizabeth Price to the Tourism Promotion Committee for a term beginning 7/1/21 to 6/30/24.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. I would like to ask for a motion to ratify the appointment of Elaine Owen to the Tourism Promotion Committee.
Did you,
Excuse me.
Did you skip one?
I'll come back to the second.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Thank you.
Your
Diane.
Honor, I move to ratify the appointment of Elaine Owen to the Tourism Promotion Committee, Position 3, for a term beginning 7/1/2021, ending 6/30/2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I would like to ask for a motion to ratify the appointment of Jennifer Gage to the Tourism Promotion Committee.
Your Honor, I move to ratify the appointment of Jennifer Gage to the Tourism Promotion Committee, Position 5, for a term beginning 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The last one is I would like to ask for ratification to approve the reappointment of two persons whose terms are ready to be renewed on the Wilsonville Metro Community Enhancement Committee, Amy Day and Jordan Snyder.
Your Honor, I move to ratify the reappointments of Amy Day and Jordan Snyder to the Wilsonville Metro Community Enhancement Committee for a term beginning 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2024.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone, for that. And just, I'm going to try to be really brief about some of the mayor activities that I've been doing that I want to update you on. Councilor West and I attended the Oregon Korean War Memorial hosted by the Korean War veterans and the Korean War Memorial Foundation of Oregon. And there was a flyover. It was a really wonderful day. We had a lot of fun there and just met some just wonderful veterans. It was perfect weather, and I'll let you say some more of your comments.
Okay.
Because people have heard enough from me. Boards and commissions interviews, as you know, I spent a lot of time on that this month, and we still have some more to go. I want to thank the entire council and our budget committee for their work, working on the budget for the meetings we had in May. And we are going to vote on that later this evening. And that this budget is providing more funds for substantial capital improvement projects that benefit the community while holding steady other expenses. And in the role of mayor, I do get these opportunities to go to a lot of webinars and Zoom calls. I'm sure all of you do too, but I've gone to many, and they are informative. There's a lot going on, meeting with the other mayors, both of Clackamas County and Washington County. And then oftentimes, as I know some of the other councilors do, also with the League of Oregon Cities, which you may hear more about later. I'm interested in the, I think, building up of the activities of the Greater Portland Inc., which is a group that we participate in as one of their small cities, in the role of seeking valuable economic development opportunities. So I've gone to one of their meetings. And Clackamas County has a meeting of either city councilors or mayors and some staff members from the cities in Clackamas County, where we really discuss issues very often pertaining to transportation, and that was the main subject of our discussion. I think there are just a lot of ways that each city can get more done by working together. So that's what we often discuss in those meetings. And at the last council meeting, I did mention that the counties, the Metropolitan Mayors Consortium, of which I'm a member, Metro, and other cities participated in discussions with the Joint Transportation Committee and the Oregon Legislature to discuss highway construction financing and traffic congestion. And the latest development on that with the legislature is an amended version of House Bill 3055 that would do several things. With regard to Wilsonville, in particular, this doesn't only affect us, but it is right next door. It names the I-5 Boone Bridge and Seismic Improvement Project as a priority facility for the Oregon Department of Transportation to advance. So this bill is not yet passed, but it's really good they included that. The I-5 Boone Bridge project is now listed along with the I-5-205 Abernathy Bridge and the I-5 I-84 Rose Quarter projects as top Oregon Department of Transportation priorities. So if you consider that and the Oregon Transportation Commission's recent $3.7 million in funding for engineering and design of the I-5 Boone Bridge project, I think we are making some progress. It's a huge project and there's a long way to go. That bill also, though, continues what was started with House Bill 2017 in the year 2017, where it seeks to study tolling of the interstate highways in the Portland metro area to generate revenue to build new facilities on these highways and manage traffic congestion. You can read a lot about this on the ODOT website. They've been having posts and all kinds of information on that for a long time, and it continues to be updated. But as it's no surprise, the issue of tolling raises a number of concerns that need to be addressed. And I think many Oregonians, you'll hear say and believe that the current highway system has already been paid for. So the area mayors and Clackamas County and others too have put together sets of principles that if tolling were implemented, the revenues must be used to pay for. If the legislature does decide to do this, then these revenues must be used to pay for new highway facilities that replace and improve the traffic handling capacity and seismic resilience of outdated facilities on that highway. And this is something this council discussed, I think, last summer in this same topic, to pay for mitigation efforts on local arterials that are impacted by tolled highway diversion traffic. Also, these principles stated that the legislature must increase public transit and alternative transportation options if tolling is imposed. And that comes to some of the things the council discussed earlier also. For example, if a person does not want to or doesn't have the ability to drive and pay those tolls, what other options do you have between, east, west, Wilsonville, or Tualatin to Oregon City? And then there is certainly another concern, which ODOT describes that they have capacity and interest to address, and that is, of course, the equity of the tolling on certain people who would have much less ability to pay than anyone else. So there are many issues. And it all boils down to how to pay for all of the new highway facilities that are prioritized to improve this. And I'm just about through talking about this, but I want you to know that we have invited ODOT to come and speak to our council in August, and so we can hear a lot more about it and ask questions. The total value that we've been hearing about all of these major projects that I just described is $3 billion. So I think that's there's a lot more to learn about that, and we continue to express our concern that all of these things are addressed. Here's looking for my paper. And in summary, yes, it's August 16th that we'll be hearing from ODOT about this. And you'll find out that one of the major things they have been working on is what I just said. How is this $3 billion going to be found? And look forward to talking more about that. Just to wrap up, I'm honored to have been invited by the Rotary Club of Wilsonville to speak to them on June 10th, and I'll be talking about our goals that we talked about today. Also, the kind of activities of the Clackamas County Business Association, Business Alliance is what I meant to say, has invited me to speak on June 22nd, and they have a panel of mayors, and I'll be part of that. And that is, and you know, I do think I said the date wrong. I want to restate that our next council meeting is June 17th. I might have said another date earlier.
No.
I think you had it right.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you for listening to all of that. And we're now ready for our communications section, and we have Wilsonville Community Sharing as well as the Beckman Dip. And I think it would be,
Do you have a question? It's June 21st.
Yes.
Exactly.
oh, it
Thank you.
is?
It isn't the
It's what you
17th.
originally
That's
said.
what
That's what you originally said. So your
Okay.
second one
You were
is.
right the first time.
Somebody typed it in there. It couldn't have been me. Okay, thank you. See, I'll take all the help I can get. With regard to our communications segment, can we go to Wilsonville Community Sharing first?
Yes. I think they have their board chair on Zoom, Beth? Okay. Want to Zoom them in? I don't know if Kathy, you have anything you want to say? This is our annual agreement with Wilsonville Community Sharing, and we asked them to come in and just report on their activities, how they spent the money. Does that about sum up the report? Yes. Okay. We can turn it over to Mr. Salazar.
Okay, well, thank you for having us tonight, and I just wanted to report on Wilsonville Community Sharing. We had a complete shift or change of board of director members, and I was asked to be the president, and I gladly accepted after years of being supporter of Wilsonville Community Sharing. I'm very passionate about the work they do over there. And so I was happy to join the board of directors. Next slide, please. So what we do, we provide social services, food assistance, utility assistance, and mental health services to any community member in financial need. During the year of 2020, obviously, COVID had a big impact at the food bank. And one thing I've got to mention is that the staff over at Wilsonville Community Sharing continued to show up despite all of the challenges being COVID. It's really important to me that I point that out because there really wasn't a lapse. They showed up and supported the community despite all the challenges that COVID brought. But in 2020, the food bank distributed 88,982 pounds of food, helped 83 renters with utility assistance, and 23 community members with housing and or COVID support. They also help with prescription medication help and the senior fund. So next slide. So I mentioned, it was actually, so March 18th of 2021, we had appointed an entire new board of directors, and we're very excited about the team that joined over at Wilsonville Community Sharing. So Carlos Salazar is the president, that's me. Jerry Bohard, vice president. Shante Villarreal, secretary. Katie Eicher, treasurer. Nicole Hendricks, member at large. Lee Crosby, staff. Lonnie Snyder, staff, and Andy Yates, staff. So some of the projects we've been working on together, we formed a steering committee to tackle a few big topics that had been kind of, just hadn't gotten around to for some time from my understanding. And that was that we wanted to, make a decision on whether or not we should create and appoint an executive director position. After the steering committee did research, it really made sense. So I'm happy to announce that we have now created the executive director position, and Lee Crosby, who's been part of Wilsonville Community Sharing for the last 22 years and is really the face of Wilsonville Community Sharing. She has been appointed the acting executive director. We also had a steering committee take a look at our bylaws and our articles of incorporation. So we were able to, since March, also refresh our governing documents, our bylaws, and our articles of incorporation. We also were able to update our phone system, which not only created more functionality for the team there at Wilsonville Community Sharing, but it also offered significant cost savings so we can better serve the community with those monies. We made the decision that we would join the NAO, the National Nonprofit Association of Oregon, and they were a tremendous resource for us when looking to create the executive director position and refreshing our governing documents. But in addition to that, we feel that being part of the Nonprofit Association of Oregon is going to help us as we navigate moving forward. And then our team was able to establish a cloud-based filing system, kind of bringing us into 2021. So next slide, please. So moving forward, we're really got kind of three pillars we're going to focus on: community awareness, educate, share, and inform of the services Wilsonville Community Sharing provides; community connection, pursue opportunities for connection through events and activities, build a network that can help build access to services; and explore and pursue opportunity, exploring various ways to provide our services and practices, actively pursue funding opportunities and partnerships. Recruit for new board members. So we're still looking to add 2 board members. Despite that, we just added 5. So still going to be looking for 2, and we'll be talking about those potential candidates here at our next board meeting. Lee Crosby is, like I mentioned, she's the new acting executive director. And Lee, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss, I guess particularly around how you were able to navigate 2020 and navigate COVID?
Well, a couple things that we had to do was change from a shopping pantry. So the first step we did was we actually made it into a drive-up type of food pantry, and we had the owners of Wilsonville Diamond would come in on a Monday, and we would pre-pack the bag so that we had them all ready, and then we could just give them out on a Tuesday. After we got a little bit going forward in COVID, we decided that we'd rather have the clients choosing the food rather than just pre-making them. So what I began to do was an inventory every Tuesday morning. Everybody would get a shopping list. They would check off what they wanted. That way we could individualize each family's food order, or toiletries or pet food or whatever we had. And we did it the same as a drive-through. We would go out to their car, let them know when their food was ready, and then they could drive around, and we would pack it up in their car in the back. In addition, for Lonnie's position as the information referral specialist, she had to work not in person with her clients any longer. So we had to pursue doing internet, email, and walk up to a window type of client services for her. And it all went rather smoothly. There was a little bumps in the road, but we've managed to continue serving the clients through this last working the way that it works.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lee. And that's it. And is there any questions?
Well, I want to thank you for your good service, and It's been, I know a lot of community members donate every month to Wilsonville Community Sharing. That's one way that lots of people in the community can contribute, whether it's, you know, a small amount each month or a little bit more, whatever works for people, or even once a year. That has really helped, and you've had some great corporate support and just generosity in addition to the other forms of support that I know that you seek. And I'm really glad to hear about all this work you've been doing to just plan for the future and build basically the resiliency for the years ahead. I sure hope you don't have the same level of challenge anytime in the near or far future that we did last year. So let's put that challenge behind us, and thank you for leading. Does anybody else have any comments? Councilor Linville?
I'd also like to just thank you for the great community service and how great a partnership it has been between the city and the organization. So, and I'm personally very pleased that we've been able to support your work as a city. And I'm interested in how you feel about all of the donations that you got on the bulky waste day. Was it surprising, or did you get a lot? Or I mean, it seemed like there were a lot of people donating.
Yes, we did get a lot, and we generally get a lot from the bulky waste day. We look forward to it every year because it is toiletries. So just as they had bulky waste day last year, when the whole town was out of toilet paper, I could have given everybody toilet paper here. That we had enough stockpiled from that prior bulky waste day, which is kind of a good thing. It was a good thing for us here, but it's always a really generous outpouring from the community, and we get everything that we need that is not food related, which, you know, of course, people cannot purchase with food stamps. So those types of items are real necessary for the families. So it was a great donation they brought.
Good. Councilor West.
Carlos, thank you so much for giving us that update. And Ms. Crosby, I've spoken to you in the past, and I know that sometimes the donations, the needs you guys have are seasonal. And I was wondering if you could take a minute as we're coming into summer, but then before we know it, we're back to school. And I don't know if you could give us a little update or what specific needs do you guys have in the near future, and what specific needs can the community maybe target to give you exactly to meet the needs that you have in this season?
Thanks for the question. It's a good one. It's a month-to-month need. I mean, there are some months where we are completely out of soup, and so we put out a call and just ask for soup. The same goes with cereal. So really, the best way to really know what we need is to just give us a call, and we update our list here in the office almost weekly, because we'll go through things really, really quickly. But there's some things that we just get so much of that we'll never give it all away. Such as things, you know, like dog and cat food. Cereal is always a high need item because, you know, it's expensive. But hearty soups we usually run very low on also.
Thank you. And any other comments, Councilor Ockerville, Council President Ockerville?
Just to thank you so much for your work and your contributions to our community. And of course, you also take cash support and donations, I understand as well, right? So that's great for the community to know about that method of supporting those in our city too.
Well, thank you. And City of Wilsonville is glad to be a partner with you as well. Any other comments regarding this, City Manager Cosgrove? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you.
coming.
Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so now we will move to the report on the Beckman Dip financing.
All right, great. Thank you, Mayor Fitzgerald and council. My name is Zach Weigel. I'm the Capital Projects Engineering Manager for the city. And with me is Kathy Rodacher, Finance Director. And we're here before you tonight to talk about the Beckman Dip Bridge financing proposal. Kathy just could not go into retirement without making sure that this project is financially sound. So this was our last opportunity. So if you remember at our last, well, there we go. Oops. So about a month ago, Dominique Huffman and Nancy Kreschauer had a presentation about the Beckman Dip project, and council selected the bridge and full road closure as the preferred option for that project. That project has a price tag of $20.8 million. And we have $14.5 million identified in urban renewal funds for that project. So there's about a $6.3 million gap to make up. So Kathy and I put our heads together and came up with this long list of funding sources to make up that difference. Starting off with, we have about $1.1 million in the year 2000 urban renewal program income. We also have about $700,000 in the Clackamas vehicle registration fee. That's in the current fund balance. That's money that the city gets from the county for, from the vehicle registration fee. We also have about $1 million in the fund balance from money that the city gets from the Willamette Water Supply Program for lease of our right-of-way to, for the installation of their pipe. Kathy took a look at the 5-year projection for road operating funds and figured that the city could use about $1 million of that money without affecting planned projects or affecting that fund balance going forward. And then we also have this fee in lieu of transportation fund. That's a number of projects that developers, instead of building the frontage improvements, they pay a fee for one reason or another. Usually it's because building the frontage improvements it's just too challenging at the time of development. So we would propose using that money to fund this project, and then staff would just track that those properties have paid their proportionate share of their frontage improvements going forward.
Could I ask a question on this point? Sorry, just because we might get into a lot of detail. That frontage improvement on Beckman Road, would that be going by Frog Pond?
So the bridge project is separate. There is another project to improve Beckman Road in front of Frog Pond.
Okay.
And that project is a mix of transportation system development charges and the Frog Pond infrastructure fee.
Okay. Thank you.
So there's about $1 million in that fee in lieu of transportation fund. And that really kind of reduces the amount of money that we need to loan to $1.5 million. And we're proposing that would come from the wastewater operating fund. And that makes up the difference to get us to that $20.8 million. A little bit of detail on the loan. It would be a 5-year term. The annual payment would be about $301,000 per year. And we're proposing that would be repaid through the Frog Pond infrastructure fee. That equates to about 16 single-family residential permits per year to pay back that loan. We have been we've been seeing a lot more permits than that year in the past, and we're projecting even more permits per year going forward. So we feel like that repayment proposal is financially sound and limits the risk for the city. Should there be development activity that tapers off in that 5-year time frame and we don't see as many single-family permits as we're projecting, then we would propose the Clackamas vehicle registration fee could make up the difference in repaying that loan. And we collect about $435,000 per year in those fees. That's the proposal, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Counselor West?
On that slide that you just had, just clarification. So the loan source is from the wastewater. Oh, not that one. You were on it. You were on the slide. Yep. The wastewater operating term is 5 years, annual payment $301,000. So are we to pay back the portion that we would need to finance by loan? Is that it's going to be a 5-year term, or are we paying it off sooner than 5 years, or am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, the proposal would be to pay it back in 5 years. I guess we could pay it back sooner if we collect more frog
So
pond.
if the frog pond infrastructure fee comes in more robust than we thought, we could pay it off in 1 or 2 years if we had that.
Okay.
kind of-
Since it's an interfund loan, you have a little bit more flexibility.
On how you do that. So we're basically loaning the money to ourselves.
Yes.
Okay.
And that fund would have to be reimbursed at an interest rate equivalent to the local government interest pool, which is about 0.002% right now, so it's a favorable loan.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
President Aukerball?
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. And I can see we're looking for a collection of sources to work with this important project. A little clarification on the fee in lieu transportation fund. And thank you for helping describe what that was and how it could be used here. So when it does come time to develop the frontage for these pieces or properties, or would we be left without the necessary funds to do that development because it's been used for this, or how does that work?
So yeah, it would be backfilled with other funding sources, like it depends on the type of project. So for example, like one of those fee in lieu of projects was the Jory Trail, I believe, or the apartment complex next to the Beckman Bridge going over I-5. Well, they paid, like $100,000 or whatever the amount was for their frontage improvement on Beckman. Well, that's part of a huge bridge project, right? So in comparison, it's not a lot of money to make up. So it would be, to answer your question, it would be from other funding sources like transportation system development charges, or we're also going to be, collecting. We're going to keep getting this vehicle registration fee as it comes in, and that's one of the funding sources that we're proposing to use to help fund these types of projects. So,
Thank you.
I have a question. So I wanted to talk about, first of all, the vehicle registration fee. Thank goodness that wasn't canceled. It's a new structure for Clackamas County that I believe was authorized by the legislature to allow counties to have a vehicle registration fee, $30 when you register your vehicle, and the funds can be used, correct me if I'm wrong, by the county and the city in some sharing formula.
Yeah, there's a per capita sharing.
Per capita. And so one of the things I was talking with somebody about today is somebody asked about as we talk about Frog Pond and all that development out there, in order to build these houses, of course, we have all kinds of things that have to do the infrastructure around them. And it even includes county roads that we don't fund, but that 65th interchange, we hope that would be able to use some of those funds. And thank goodness some of them are available here for this. Is that 0.7 that you're describing there, what amount of collection time is that? How much time did it take to accumulate that, to remind me?
It was 3 years.
So that's 3 years. Maybe
Yeah.
it started off slow or something.
Yeah, it
but-
started out, the
So
first
that's
year
not
was
gonna
like
be every year.
100,000 and then 400,000.
Okay, so, and this, what is the time frame that we need to be able to expend this full 20 point, or the point in time when this needs to be funded?
So it really depends on the type of contracting that we use moving forward. If we want to go with a progressive design build, then we would like to have all the money available up front, and that way we can do construction in different phases as it gets designed. But as far as time frame for the expenditure of the whole funding, we're looking at 3 to 4 years.
Okay. So looking ahead from here, I just wanted to talk about, I'm going to stick with the vehicle registration fee for a minute, and then I'm going to go to something else. But there are very few sources of funds for roads. Is that correct in Clackamas County? So I'm sure that's going to be a popular fund, the vehicle registration fee for City of Wilsonville. We'd have many of things we could use it on. But should we, I wanted to just talk about if we were to need to use that in one of those 2 or 3 future years. Can we? Or is it committed in some other way? Or is it just too early to say?
The collection going forward.
Right, the future, like we have 0.7 right now, and we don't want to spend funds we don't have.
Right.
But I just wondered if looking forward, those funds, as far as we know of what we know today, might be available should one of these others not come through.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no projects identified for the future collection
On
yet.
that at this
Right.
point. And then the other, so if one of these others were to not be as robust as we would think, perhaps that could be another source.
Yeah, that's correct. We really tried to look at what our existing fund balances.
Okay.
So,
Money that we have, which is a really smart way to go.
right. We're not relying on money coming in except for repaying that loan.
Okay. So the other one that I wanted to talk about and ask the counselors for their opinion on is the Wilsonville water treatment, or the water services plant. I'm not coming up with all the acronyms.
You're talking about the big pipe money?
Big pipe, WWSP, row lease fund balance. That is a project that is a once in a many generation type of project that we projected would potentially generate, once those leases come in, if I recall, around $17 million.
Yeah, there's a balloon payment of $17 million that will be coming into the city in 2026. Otherwise, we get about, what,
175,000
per year annually until the balloon payment,
Till 17?
until 2026.
So this 1 million that is in this fund accumulated over what time, and how does it relate to the 17 million?
It's related in that it's the same source of revenue. There was an overall charge that went into how much they were paying to lease our space, basically.
So this is an annual lease payment?
Right, and then we get the balloon payment in
we get the balloon
2026. It's the same money coming in.
But it is not part of the future balloon payment?
No,
Okay.
So can I explain a little bit?
I think that's what you're asking? Yeah. It's not part of the balloon payment.
It's part of the overall rent that we're getting from them. And so, but the rent was supposed to, at one time, they were going to pay that $176 or $175, $180,000 a year over the 99-year period with an escalator.
Okay.
And that would have been a really slow way for us to get the money. So we negotiated that we would do that until the project was built. And then as soon as the project was built, that they would have to come up with, because they're getting money from a lot of big federal loans, and they didn't have it at the time, but they certainly will have it by then. They probably have it now, but so that's why we're getting these incremental payments now, but we didn't want to do that for 99 years.
That's good.
So I did want to clarify that this is not part of that later balloon payment, because that's such a unique project that allows an opportunity for a really community-wide type investment that we will discuss later when that day comes, which is not today. And so this is a unique project that allows an opportunity.
Well, you got to hear yourself say the same thing you just said.
I wondered who that was. Okay, so that answers some of my questions. Any other, Councilor Lehan?
Yes, I was just going to comment that having worked with Ms. Rodacker for a number of years now and known her to be a conservative fiscal planner, I have great faith in this plan that these will, that she has thought this through. So I'm, now, if just Zach had come up with it, I'm not really sure, but.
I don't trust CD at all when it comes to the
Never
numbers.
trust an engineer with money.
No, that's a good
That's why
idea.
I'm up here.
But looks like
Build anything, just give me the money.
looks like an excellent, well thought out plan.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments for Mr. Weigel and his excellent partnership planning with Ms. Rodacker?
I hear there's a job opening in finance if you're interested.
Yeah.
Several.
She applied for and was granted the job of
What
grandmother.
more can what more do you need from this?
No, just as,
Just a head nod that this financing plan looks good, and if you had any questions, we can answer.
You want thumbs?
Thumbs are good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
yeah, we'll be back with a supplemental budget to add the funds in. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also with the actual contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We're now ready for citizen input and community announcements, and I'm going to read this point that's on the screen there, that this is an opportunity for visitors to address the city council on items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the city council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any persons to present?
Nobody in the council chambers has filled out a request form, and I understand from Beth that do we have anybody? We do. Oh, okay. Mitch Romero.
Is this, is this on Zoom?
This is a Zoom call-in, correct, Beth? Yes, Mr. Romero.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thanks. I'm just wanted to thank you for hearing me. I'm a construction manager on behalf of Twist Bioscience, who I believe you're considering our WIN application tonight. And I just wanted to say how, on behalf of Twist, how grateful we are for this program. It was a huge incentive for us to bring this facility to Wilsonville. And I also wanted to thank Jordan Vance for guiding me through the process for applying for the grant. Twist Wilsonville is going to be a manufacturing facility for, we're a bioscience company, but the primary purpose of this facility is going to be manufacturing genetic material, which is used for research purposes. And it is going to be it's 6 times as large as our facility in San Francisco. And Wilsonville's amenities and the availability of suitable facilities was a huge draw here as well. And the availability of well-educated technicians that will be able to staff it is also going to be great, and we're very excited about getting this project done. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Should I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yes.
This is Charlotte Lehan. I'm a counselor, and the question came up earlier as more for citizen information because we know so little about your business or how it operates. The question is about its if there's anything or to what degree there's any hazard to it, to the community or people who work there. Are there hazardous operations that occur there? So that's just a question from some of your ignorant
that's a great
people.
That's a great question, but we're actually working through that with the City of Wilsonville Planning Department now. There are hazardous materials that we're dealing with. The systems that are used to deal with those are a closed system. out into the environment in the immediate area, and anything that we need to take off site is put into specialized tanks to contain them and then taken away by a qualified contractor.
Okay. That's good to know, just in case people citizens were to ask.
Oh, absolutely. And even to the degree of which the processes that we use, really the most hazardous thing we deal with is basically acetone, which is a nail polish remover, and that's the kind of thing we use to clean the systems. And but that's really, there's not a lot that's terribly hazardous, and it is all within a closed system.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I have a question. Councilor Linville.
This is Joanne Linville. I'm also a counselor. Is this lab a rated biosafety lab? Is it?
No, it's a manufacturing facility primarily, but I'm not sure. We do have some ratings we have to deal with on the individual labs, but we're not at clean room level. All of the systems are self-contained, so we don't need to go through a rating process.
So it is not considered a biosafety level 1 lab?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Before we go to councilor comments, I did want to note in my materials, my iPad is not working. I had to switch systems here. Did we miss the opportunity to approve the resolution 2900 regarding the food bank?
No. Coming up.
Coming up.
Okay, that's the error order I had.
Yeah, we just have them present on their annual activities
Okay,
before
it's
you
on
approve the
consent.
resolution.
Thank you.
Is your iPad still not working?
No, it's in the shop.
Okay, got it, all right. It's in the shop, all right.
So we're ready for councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements, starting with Council President Aukervall.
Thank you. Let's see, since our last meeting, I attended the LOC Women's Caucus planning meeting as they're working on putting together the structure for that group and looking at, in the future, appointing a board for that group as well. I also attended the library strategic plan committee meeting. And, that was work that initially started prior to the COVID pandemic and is now resuming. And it was good to get back with that group and kind of talk about what the future for the feedback process for our community. And of course, we've had the survey on Let's Talk Wilsonville recently in regards to what the goals and how does our community feel they will be using the library in the future. I think we've all had some change to our just regular routines in this last year and learned different methods of doing things. So that group is certainly adapting the work to this new environment that we are now in. And I also wanted to call out, kind of related, not to the strategic planning process, but to the library itself, that as of June 1st, I believe, it was June 1st, the library started their summer reading program, and that will continue throughout the summer. And it is something for all ages, all grades, also adults. And you can go to the website at the library, or I'm sure they have information at the library as well. And there's a lot included in that. So the general idea, read 20 minutes for 20 days and you get to enter into different drawings. But there's also specifically for the youth in our community, there's, oh, look at this. I love this visual. So fun. So there's science projects. See, look at that. Read and then science. There's different science explorations that you can do. You can earn badges through the Beanstalk app where you can track your reading. And it's, the badges, it's kind of fun. It's like if you read a book outside, you can earn a badge. If you read a mystery novel, you can earn a badge. There's different activities that you can do to earn the badges. And that's kind of a fun way to set different goals for yourself and your kids throughout the summer. And then I believe new this year, because I don't recall seeing this in the past, is the short story contest, which I think sounds incredibly cool. And they're going to do different grade levels and adults, even down to the kindergartners can write a story and submit a story for the short story contest. So it will be so much fun to see what comes out of that. And you can get your kids on board to do science, to read, and to write throughout the summer and kind of keep those brain cells rolling as we come out of our school year pretty soon. So wanted to draw everyone's attention to the good programming that's happening there.
They also produced a 8-minute video. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very creative. It's also fictional because it shows Stephen dunking. And I'm pretty sure Stephen couldn't even dunk when he was 19. So they did a lot of good video editing for that video. It's very creative and clever. If you haven't seen it, I'll send out the link tonight before I leave the office.
Excellent. Excellent. Fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lehan.
Yes, I have two announcements to make. One is, similar to Councillor Aukervall, things are starting to move again after a year and a half of being locked up. But there are two events coming up that have been put off for more than a year. One is on June 26th, and it's the dedication of the monuments for the grave markers for Jesse Boone and his wife Elizabeth and 3 of their young children at the Butteville Cemetery. And they've been laying there in unmarked graves for the last 150 years. We thought that was long enough, so we have a joint project with the Wilsonville Boones Ferry Historical Society and the Butteville Pioneer Cemetery Association that is funded by a state heritage grant. And that is June 26th. That's a Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll be a short dedication, won't go past 3 o'clock. And good chance to see the Butteville Cemetery if you haven't seen that one. And then the second event coming up this summer is August 12th, also at 2 o'clock. I believe that's a Thursday, but I'm not for certain, but it's August 12th. And that's the dedication of our walnut orchard here in Marasi. And that as a state heritage tree grove, which will, as I said before, then make us have more heritage trees than the city of Portland, more than any other city in the state. So that will be a fun time also, and there will be people there from representatives from the walnut and filbert industry to kind of give a little bit of history of how walnuts turned into filberts. Not literally, but
Thank you.
Economically. And then one other thing I had a question about, which I was reading in the emails. What about that bear?
Yes, what about that bear?
Apparently there was a bear in Maury's Landing, did it?
Yes, there's even video of it, and I think they did a, K2 or Channel 8 did a story on it, so.
And did he leave?
We have not heard that the bear has returned to the scene, but it is not uncommon for bears to be in that area.
Was he forcibly removed?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to remind people before they panic when these things happen, especially with some of the larger carnivores, whether it's bobcats or whatever, is at this time of year the young ones get kicked out mom is busy with the baby, and so especially the 2-year-old boys get thrown out and run into a big male who also doesn't want them around. So they're really on the loose, going anywhere because they don't know where to go. And so they're usually a young male who's been run out of town by his own sort, and it takes them a while to get their bearings. Wouldn't you say, as an animal person?
Well, yes, and I do think
It's very
that
common.
I will stay out of their way, just like
Yes,
in the
just
campfire song.
stay out of their way.
They do want to avoid us.
Yeah,
So you're,
they definitely want to avoid us, but it's a lost juvenile almost always,
well, thank you for that.
trying to find its way into appropriate bear territory,
Or your garbage.
or some garbage.
Some garbage, yeah.
Find that.
Thank you for reminding us of that, and everyone's fine and safe, and it's good to know that we have natural areas around us. So that was a while ago, and nothing bad happened, right?
Nope,
All we
nothing
got was
bad
some pictures
happened,
and
so.
news coverage.
But we shouldn't be surprised if when these things happen.
Counselor West.
We do live on the edge of the urban growth boundary, so, yeah. Earlier this month, what day is it? Yeah, like a week ago. I attended the Water Consortium meeting. That's where a bunch of elected officials from the region get together and collaborate on water issues and plan and pull resources together. We elected a new chair and a vice chair. So the new chair is the city councilor of Tualatin, Bridget Brooks. And then the vice chair is Mayor Jules Walters out of West Lynn. And we got a legislative update. They gave us provisions of an emergency water framework, showed their website, some project fact sheets, how they interacted with the news during the ice storm, a lot of conversation around the ice storm and how there had to be a lot of collaboration between the region. They have this great new regional water webpage with this thing called Paint by Numbers, and it's like an infographic that's available. And what else do we got here? And we talked about stream flows and weather outlooks into the future. We're a little dry right now because of all that beautiful weather we had. We were real wet, now we're a little dry. So I also, kind of the highlight of the last 2 weeks for me was when I got to go with the mayor to represent the Korean War Memorial Service. We did it last year, kind of pulled it together at the last minute with community members, and Representative Neron was a part of that. And we still did the flyover and stuff, but it's nice that as we come out of COVID, we were really able to have a really beautiful remembrance. And if you haven't been to the Korean War Memorial, it's just right here at Town Center Park. It's beautiful, granite wall with the names of Oregonians who lost their lives in the conflict. And it's such an important conflict because not only did many lose their lives in the effort to push back against totalitarianism and communism, but because of that effort, South Korea is a free nation. It's one of the most prosperous, beautiful, thriving countries in world history, and the relationship that we have as a city and as a nation with with the people of South Korea is really unique and special and beautiful. So it was just an honor to be a part of it. The mayor's words were fantastic. They were moving. They were well done. We had the consulate from Seattle, who was also fantastic. His words were very powerful and fantastic. So it was a really great time. And so if you haven't been, check out the memorial. And then if we have any other events, try to attend. They're really worth it. So that's what I did.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Councilor Linville.
Thank you. I also attended the LOC Women's Caucus meeting, and I can tell you that they're looking for board members, and I know I will not be volunteering for one of those positions at this point.
That decision.
I do sometimes know when I've had enough. And so while I am very supportive of that organization as it gets off the ground, I think probably down the road as they're more formalized and have moved on, then I will become more active in that group. But certainly in the fall, attending the LOC conference, hopefully it's going to happen in Bend. I will be attending that caucus meeting. So, and then on the 16th, this coming a week from Wednesday, I will attend again the C4 Metro Subcommittee. Wanted to remind everybody, the mayor read the proclamation this week, and just remind folks that there will be an event on Saturday, the 19th of June for the Juneteenth celebration. And I think that will be kind of the first one that will happen in the city of Wilsonville. So that'll be a great event. And then I look forward on the 22nd to hearing our mayor's presentation along with the other mayors in the Clackamas County Business Alliance meeting. I did want to mention that I've had conversations with folks around Wilsonville about how excited they are that the water park is open again. I mean, it's just been incredible. And now that the weather is good, that people are also making comments about the Great Dog Park. And so really excited that it just appears as if life is coming back, and it's a really great thing to see. As the council knows, I've kind of been interested in our vaccination rates in the city of Wilsonville, and at the end of April, our vaccination rate was between 36 and 38%. We are, and that is for the city of Wilsonville. We're now at 60.5%. And I have been contacted by the chamber and working with the chamber and Clackamas County Public Health to see about putting up another clinic here that we might be able to find some city property location to put that clinic up, and then they'll come, the public health department will staff it. So I'm looking forward to that contact. I haven't been contacted by them yet. And as usual, my interest is not in really making a public statement about vaccination, but more a situation that if we have people who are wanting to be vaccinated and have had difficulty accessing those vaccinations, I think it is incumbent upon us to do our best to try and assist our citizens. And one of the things that the chamber was concerned about is our working population who do not have time during the day to get away, certainly don't have an entire or half a day to go to the convention center or the airport, and so have just let it kind of slide until it's been more convenient. So anything that we can do to help that, I'm willing to work on. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate Councilor Linville leading all of those coordination efforts and working with our city staff to put notices on the website and so forth. So thank you. So we will now move to our consent agenda, and would the city attorney please read it?
Resolution number 2900, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing support grant agreement with Wilsonville Community Sharing and the minutes of the May 17, 2021 City Council meeting.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Your Honor, I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Is there any new business?
The only one that we have is a discussion of your council goals, Mayor, and you have two options there. Given that there's going to be some amendments, you can postpone final adoption until the next meeting. If you want to take one final look at them, that's fine. You could also make a motion in a second to adopt the goals subject to the amendments that were requested tonight. So it's really your choice.
Just a quick thumbs up. How many prefer waiting a week?
2 weeks?
I don't care.
How many want to vote
A week
tonight?
or 2
Are you
weeks?
ready?
It would be waiting a month, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's fine.
So
I'm
we
fine
can
with
see
that.
I think we'd like to
Okay.
wait to
Yeah,
see the
that's fine.
amended version.
It gives you a couple more weeks also to look at it and see if there's any more partnership
I
opportunities.
think it would be good to see that. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everyone, for participating in that. And for continuing business, will the city attorney please read Ordinance 847 by title? And we will vote on that, and then we will go to 848.
On your little screen.
Oh, Your Honor, I just have a question. I didn't know if we, did we also approve the minutes?
Yeah, it's part of the consent. Did-
Okay.
did
Yeah,
you-
I read that one
She
too.
read that.
Okay, I just didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I miss them sometimes too.
I'm not listening.
I miss them sometimes too. Usually.
I'm still raising my hand every time we vote.
I know. I'm still half in Zoom land.
Thank you. It's really good to check on these things, but we're going along, and we'll return to our city attorney to please read Ordinance 847 on second reading.
Ordinance number 847 on second reading, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a comprehensive plan amendment from residential 0 to 1 dwelling units per acre to residential 4 to 5 dwellings units per acre on approximately 2.25 acres located at 28700 Southwest Canyon Creek Road South. The land is more particularly described as tax lot 6400, Section 13BD, Township 3 South, Range 1 West, Willamette Meridian, City of Wilsonville, Clackamas County, Oregon.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 847 on second reading?
Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 847 on second reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Well, just that usually, I don't know, we had this other old mayor who always asked
Excuse me, I do have, thank you.
if there was any.
We have 2 more things to do with this, so let's stick with our parliamentary procedure. So we have 2 ordinances to read that I would like the city attorney to read, and then I will read the legislative agenda. Then we will do the roll call.
No.
No, I don't have that.
No.
Okay, it's the roll call.
Yeah,
You're right, this is the first time I've done this. Thank you for that.
second reading, and usually, not that you have to, but usually he would ask, have we had any input since the first reading?
No, and I think on this one, the public hearing was closed, right?
It was, yeah. We didn't keep the hearing record open, but you can still, that's a
We got
question.
Nothing new.
Nothing new about it.
And there is one other thing that I wanted to do differently that you
Oh.
reminded me of. So there is nothing new since the last hearing. The last hearing was closed. At this point, would the city recorder please call the roll for the vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Counselor Linville,
Yes.
Counselor West,
Yes.
Council President Aukervall,
Yes.
Counselor Lehan,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald.
Yes. Thank you. So let me try this next one. Will the city attorney please read Ordinance 848?
Ordinance number 848, also second reading, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a zone map amendment from the residential agricultural holding zone to the planned development residential 3 zone on approximately 2.25 acres located at 28700 Southwest Canyon Road South. The land is more particularly described as tax lot 6400, Section 13BD, Township 3 South, Range 1 West, Willamette Meridian, City of Wilsonville, Clackamas County, Oregon.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Ordinance 848 on second reading?
Your Honor, did you say? Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 848 on second reading.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Would the city attorney, is there anything new regarding this?
No.
The hearing was closed. Would the city attorney please call the roll?
Oh, do you want to ask for a discussion? Did you want to ask for a discussion after the second?
Let me back up. Is there any discussion on this?
Not typically on the second reading.
No.
Would you please call the roll?
Well,
Counselor Linville? Oh, sorry.
go ahead. You're on.
Counselor Linville?
Yes.
City recorder.
Counselor West?
Yes.
Council President Aukervall?
Yes.
Counselor Lehan?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes. Thank you. And I did mean to say city recorder that time.
It's all good.
I think I'm
Nobody's judging you.
getting a little
No.
punchy here.
No.
None of us want to be in your chair.
No, no.
Which we've said numerous times.
Feel free to continue to give me assistance. We're now going to have a public hearing on resolutions. This is a legislative hearing on resolutions number 2901, 2902, 2903, and 2904. And all four of these resolutions require a legislative hearing. So the following statement regarding the hearing will apply to all four of the resolutions that will be read.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Will be read now by the city attorney.
Let me read this.
And Barbara, I do have, on procedure here, so you want to read those resolutions before I read the legislative hearing material, correct?
Yes.
Yes. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, does she have the script?
Yes.
She has the script for the legislature. Are you talking about for the second reading order?
Yeah, that was the question for the appeal rights. We didn't read them for a land use decision.
I don't know that she has the script. I thought that was something staff did.
Do we want to break for that?
Yeah, let's take a 2-minute break.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have one more procedure. We're going to take a 2-minute break.
He'll be on. There.
Now you can gavel us back.
We're reconvening the meeting of the city council on June 7th after a short break. And I will call to order the Wilsonville City Council public hearing on resolution numbers 2901, 2902, 2903, and 2904. All four of these resolutions require a legislative hearing, so the following statement regarding the hearing, which I will read after the resolutions are read, will apply to all four of the resolutions that will now be read by the city manager.
Resolution number 2901, a resolution declaring the city's eligibility to receive state shared revenue. Resolution number 2902, a resolution declaring the city's election to receive state shared revenues. Resolution number 2903, a resolution of the city of Wilsonville adopting the budget, making appropriations, declaring the ad valorem tax levy, and classifying the levy as provided by ORS 310.060 sub 2 for fiscal year 2021-2022. Resolution number 2904, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 2020-2021. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the city council will be taking public testimony tonight at this public hearing on all of the four resolutions that were just read. The hearing will be conducted in the following manner. City staff will present their report, and then I will ask for testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither for or against the proposed resolution. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and Governor Brown's emergency order, this meeting is being held remotely by Zoom. Excuse me.
No, it's and in person.
No, it is. It's hybrid, Mayor, so we still have to read the script.
Thank you. Regarding how the public, it's being held remotely by Zoom information and live regarding how the public could attend this meeting remotely and give testimony that is posted at the City Hall. This information was published timely in the Wilsonville Spokesman and also is posted on the city's website, shown on the screen. Notice was given that testimony could be submitted for the record in advance by writing or emailing it to the city recorder. If you're listening to this meeting remotely, when the time for public testimony is called, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone if you would like to testify. If you prefer and have not already done so, you may also submit written testimony by email at any time before the public hearing is closed by emailing the city recorder at the email address now being shown on the screen. Any testimony sent by email will be read into the record. Please include your name and mailing address with your email testimony. If you are having difficulties with these instructions, you may call the number shown on the screen and enter the webinar ID number shown on the screen when prompted. When called up to testify, state your full name and address for the record. I request from those providing testimony not to repeat testimony that has already been given to the City Council. Simply indicating you agree with the prior testimony given by a speaker you identify will be sufficient. And now we'll have the staff report.
Okay, so our first two resolutions, 2901 and 2902, are in regard to our state shared revenues. These are revenues that the state collects and then allocates back to cities based on population. The first resolution is stating our eligibility, and we are able to collect the revenues because we provide police protection, planning, street maintenance, lighting and construction, sanitary sewer, utility services, and storm sewers. So the type of, the second resolution is, to receive the revenues. We received about almost $2 million in gas tax. That's our primary funding source for our road operating fund. And then we receive about $800,000 to the general fund, which is primarily earmarked for police protection costs. And that includes our liquor tax, a state revenue sharing, which is kind of a combination of different things that are collected, and our cigarette tax. Are there any questions?
No, I'm not seeing any.
Perfect.
Okay. So you're going to vote for them all at one time at the
No.
end?
No, we're going to vote for them separately, I believe.
I don't know what you wanted to do, but to
Mr.
ask if there's any testimony.
Is there any testimony for Resolution 2901? And Mr. Cosgrove, I just wanted to clarify, are we voting for each of these separately?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Seeing or hearing there is no testimony for Resolution 2901, I will entertain a motion to approve. Councilor President Ockerville.
I move to approve resolution number 2901.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Resolution 2902, do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 29202.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes, or all opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Resolution number 2903.
Okay, so the big one here, of course, is adopting the fiscal year 21-22 budget in the amount of $241,832,266. And here is a list of how it's all broken down. We did meet with the Budget Committee, as Mayor Fitzgerald mentioned. We spent 7 hours going over our 300-plus page document. Lots of things were discussed. We presented city level, fund level, program level, plus all the CIPs. We do have a special language that has to be said for the motion to adopt the budget, and we have a copy of it that we'll put here up on the screen in a second. So the process, you can adopt the budget as was presented. You can reduce or eliminate any expenditure, program, or fund. You can increase up to 10% any expenditure line item, or $5,000, whichever is greater. You cannot create a new expenditure or fund without going back and republishing in the newspaper. And you cannot increase the tax levy. But those are your options, and I think Beth has the language for us. Right here. So that's what we need to get started on the discussion.
So are you going to make another presentation? Is your presentation complete?
That is.
Would someone like to
You
present?
could ask for testimony. Does anybody want to say?
Do we have any testimony? Do we see any testimony online? There is no.
Then, Your Honor, I move to approve the fiscal year 2021-22 proposed budget in the total amount of $241,832,266. Apparently no cents. And levying the full amount of the city general tax rate of $2.5206, which is $2.5206. Yes, I see.
Is there a second?
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
And now we move to Resolution 2904.
Okay, this is a budget supplemental for the current year for your consideration. It's a small supplemental. There's only 4 items, but some big numbers. The largest of it is the supplemental of $24.2 million for the refinance of the wastewater 2011 outstanding bond, and it had a interest rate of 3.4. We refinanced that down to 1.43%, and it results in a net present value savings amount of $2.9 million. So this is just trying to get the budget in alignment with that action. And then the other three items, there's a $9,500 camera related to, for the IT department for story time at the library. And there is a sewer SDC alignment or true up of the beginning fund balance to the actual of ending fiscal year 6/30/20. This is kind of an accounting technical thing, just to true up the beginning fund balance of that fund. And then finally, there we are moving or proposing to move the VLF funds that we receive from the two counties from the road operating fund. We're moving that budget into the roads capital fund where we can account for it more closely, and it has to be spent on capital. So those are the four items of the budget supplemental.
And just a clarification, that's the vehicle registration fee that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there, at this point, I will ask for testimony, correct?
If there is any.
Is there any testimony?
Nobody in the...
Continues to be no testimony. I will ask for a motion.
Do you have a question?
After we second it? Oh, clarifying question, I'm sorry. There's a question.
I apologize, but I wanted to get the question in before we moved along. Thank you for this information about the supplemental budget adjustment. I understand what's contained in this recommendation. It does bring a question, I guess, to mind coming from the recent meetings with our budget committee. And there was some talk for in the future as we go forward and we have supplemental budget adjustments about communication back to the budget committee. And I wondered if staff had any information to share at this point as far as what that might look like or if that's still forthcoming.
Yeah, we'll start that next fiscal year with the upcoming budget.
Right. That's what the questions were pertaining in our budget.
They'll receive a copy of the staff report and an opportunity to provide comment.
So we'll provide it to council and then we'll provide it to them as well.
Okay, excellent. Thanks.
We'll get the same packet of information that you are receiving.
Thanks for providing that information clarification. Thank you.
And does anyone have any other questions about the supplemental budget? Thank you for that question, Council President Aukerball. And I've already...
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2904.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And that brings us to city manager's business, and we somehow got caught up on our timing.
We did, but I'm going to kick it over to the city attorney who's going to read a brief statement about the two ordinances that you passed earlier, ordinance number 847, ordinance number 848.
That's for ordinance number 847 and 848, because those are quasi-judicial land use decisions. We do need to read a notice of the right to appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. So the notice would be to this effect. If you desire to appeal this decision to the Land Use Board of Appeals, you must you must file the notice of intent to appeal and pay the required fees to the Land Use Board of Appeals within 21 days after the land use decision becomes final, as described in ORA 661-010-0010-3. If the deadline is missed, LUBA will not hear the appeal. And that means it's from the day your decision becomes final. They would start measuring the 21 days. Which is today. Yeah. So sorry for that confusion there. Somewhere we have a script on this, but it doesn't come up very often.
So we did read the script at the meeting, so that is, we got it covered.
Yes, and anybody who has standing will have received this information in writing already.
Right. So on that topic, does anyone have any other questions about that? Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jacobson.
Sure.
And now I'll take it back to the city manager
All right.
for that.
First of all, welcome back. And I told you there's going to be some kinks and all this stuff, so we experienced a few tonight. It's good to see you all here. I used to be on the line of introvert and extrovert, but COVID has pushed me into the extrovert now, so I'm enjoying small talk now. I never used to. In email that I sent you, I think Friday or Thursday, I can't remember, there was a letter from the school district requesting waiver of the final year for their lease. And I would be happy to answer any questions. I don't need you to do a vote on it, but if you have any concerns about us letting them out of that lease early, they are dealing with some financial difficulties right now. It seems like the right thing to do. Plus, we have some desires for that building as well. So it seems like the right thing to do.
Councilor West?
I got your email, and then I called Christy Thompson on the school board, and just to get some context. And so I was just, if it's a win-win, which is great, but if they're going to have a windfall of not having to pay the lease money, is there any way that we can have an agreement or work with them that somehow that what they would be saving goes to those kids that are a little bit more vulnerable? Some of those kids have a different graduation plan. Is there any way that we can collaborate with them on how that savings might be used to make sure that it goes directly to the kids in those classrooms that it was originally benefiting?
I mean, I can't tell them how to spend their money. I could express, if there's a desire by council to say, if you could consider that, I'd be happy to do that.
There seemed to be an openness with Board Member Thompson about thinking that was a good idea, so I just thought I'd bring it up.
I just get a little nervous about telling another public entity how to spend their money.
So I appreciate that sentiment. Having not discussed that with them at all, I also think that we should leave that decision to them.
You can certainly, you're free to express that if you want.
I think the general sentiment we're doing here is we're saying that we're doing that for that reason. It's just that we don't have jurisdiction or strings attached. It kind of sounds like we have strings attached to it.
And I don't know what money they use. It could be a dedicated purpose, so that might not be possible. I don't know anything about school district financing other than they get money from the state for every child they have but they also have proprietary funds for other reasons. I don't know if they're using their lease payment money from their general fund.
I think it's a wonderful idea, but I would trust them to decide the best thing to do with it.
Yeah, I would agree. I just don't know anything about the school district budget, either how it works, the nuts and bolts of it, or where they are in need. You know, if they have a serious need for something versus what this need is, which sounds like a very altruistic need, but maybe they have a more desperate need in some other area. I just have no idea.
I just don't know how they classify this particular payment. So, Councilor Linville.
I believe that in the letter that you sent to us, that the superintendent indicated that they are in the process of providing some alternative space, a facility for those students.
Yes.
And so my guess is that they will probably be spending a whole lot more money on that facility than they would on what they're paying for the rent for this. So
You're getting them back into the normal schools.
no, they have another facility. It was in the letter from the superintendent.
They're building an art tech, but it's going to be their own building.
Yeah.
It's going to be their own building.
Yeah, so
Be leasing.
I have every confidence that they're providing for those students, that regardless of whether it's this money or other district money.
Council President Akkerval.
Sure. I think, being somewhat familiar with the goals and the mission statement and the values that's expressed. Yeah, from the school district.
You were on the budget committee, right?
I chaired the budget committee, so, yeah. I would say, of course, that was prior to the situation that they're in now, but they clearly express what the values and the goals and the mission and the priorities are for the school district. And I think being somewhat familiar with that they do feel it's very important to find success for all students in the district. And, they also have a budget committee process, just as our city does, where citizens can come and speak, and they set, just as we do, the budget for different funds and how the money will be used, and look carefully at, is that budget aligned to the mission? I remember that being something that was, stressed during the process. Is this budget document that we have before, is it aligned to the mission and what we want to see happen in our school district? So having that background information, I trust that they will follow their process, it's in place, and, use the resources they have overall to best serve the students in our district. And that also there is an avenue for people in the community to advocate, for a specific program or population or concept or idea, things like that. So I am support. It seems like, something that is a win for our school district is also a win for our city, because they are so closely intertwined. And I am supportive if they need to discontinue this lease that we allow them to do so.
Are we voting on that or just making a thumbs up, thumbs down, or?
Thumbs up.
Just a thumbs up.
It's like, so if we're all just supportive, then it just moves forward?
Yeah.
I finally saw it, okay. All right,
I'm supportive.
okay,
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. Thank you
you.
very much.
Good conversation,
for
thank you.
That was a good conversation, and I will now ask for legal business.
I think we covered the legal business already, so
All right, thank you. I'm going to adjourn the meeting of the City Council. There is an Urban Renewal Agency meeting immediately following, so don't go anywhere. Meeting adjourned.
Are you taking an intermission, or are you just going to get right to it?
Just go.
Just go.
Keep going?
Yeah, just,
Right.
listen.
It's up to you guys.
I just got to get it up here.
I will call to order a meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency, City of Wilsonville, at 8:51 PM on June 7th. Could we have a roll call, please?
Member Linville,
Here.
Member West,
Here.
Member Ockervall,
Here.
Member Lehan,
Here.
Chair Fitzgerald.
Here. This is an opportunity of citizen input, an opportunity for visitors to address the Urban Renewal Agency Board on items not on the agenda. It's also a time to address items that are on the agenda but are not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the board will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens' input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And on Zoom, use the raise hand feature if you'd like to provide comments. I'm seeing that we do not have any citizen input and no one is in the chamber to provide that, so we will move to the consent agenda. Will the agency council please read the consent agenda?
The consent agenda is the minutes of the March 15, 2021 URA meeting.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we'll now move to the staff report, or excuse me, will the agency council please read the resolution number 315?
Resolution number 315, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency authorizing a development agreement establishing the conditions of the Wilsonville Investment Now WIN program benefits between the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Wilsonville and Twist Bioscience Corporation.
Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 315?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 315.
Second?
Mayor, did you want to have a staff report?
Yes, I do.
Staff is sitting there.
We'll just trade making mistakes tonight.
Let's withdraw the...
Okay, I'm withdrawing my motion
Thank you,
Counselor West.
Councilor West.
for the future.
Okay. Please have a staff report now. We're ready for a staff report. Here he is. Oh, yes, I was looking for him at the desk.
Go ahead, Jordan.
We're learning again.
All right. Good evening, Urban Renewal Agency. We are back for a presentation on the proposed Twist Bioscience Wind Zone. I'm Jordan Vance, Economic Development Manager, and I'm here tonight with Nick Popanook of Tiberius Solutions. We're going to give an overview of the proposed Twist Bioscience Wind Zone with focus on adoption of the development agreement. So quick background, I'll be quick, so we covered this earlier tonight. We essentially adopted this program in 2013 following the financial recession of 2008. We designated 6 properties as individual site-specific urban rural districts. Ultimately, all of the sites developed, but none of them met the eligibility threshold of the program. So we were given direction to modify the program in 2019. We did that in coordination with the Urban Renewal Agency. They gave us unanimous support for the program, and they gave us a recommendation to include diversity, equity, inclusion criteria, as well as the prioritization of local legacy Wilsonville businesses. So we adopted the administrative rules for this program back in October 2020. And then in February 2021, we received a qualifying win application from a business called Twist Bioscience, a California-based DNA firm, and they proposed to redevelop nearly 200,000 square foot facility in Wilsonville, resulting in $70 million of new investment and the creation of 400 new jobs in Wilsonville over time. And for the purposes of the development agreement, they've committed to 200 new jobs within the first year of construction, but publicly stated over time there will likely be 400 new jobs. The business pre-qualified for the WIN program benefits, so we've initiated the process per the WIN administrative rules to implement the incentive. The firm plans to expand into a 190,000 square foot leased space at Parkworks Industry Center, which is the former Xerox site. This URA zone is unique in that it would apply to only a sub-portion of the building and tax lot that is occupied by Twist, which is around 4.4 acres. We think that is the best and cleanest way to track the value increase for the tax rebate. Twist executives have referred to the Wilsonville facility as a high-tech, cutting-edge factory of the future that will help facilitate the company's future growth. The firm will be producing antibody therapeutics and gene manufacturing at this site, hiring a range of local workers from PhD scientists to lab technicians and engineers. Here's some of the factors shared with us about what drove Twist's decision to expand in Wilsonville. So one is the Portland region is an established technology hub with an emerging biotech cluster with industry leaders like Genentech and TE Connectivity, providing Twist access to workforce and existing advanced manufacturing. The talent pipeline is supported by a robust higher education ecosystem that offers a range of degree programs in biotech and health sciences, from technical 2-year programs to doctorate degrees. Twist has noted Wilsonville's workforce specifically as being a talent-rich environment, which is no surprise given the city's strong economic footprint and highly skilled labor pool in industrial and technical occupations. They've also noted the lower cost of doing business in Oregon compared to California and cost savings from the WIN program, which are projected to save the business over $2.8 million over the course of 7 years. And that's on the conservative side of the estimate. Last, the proximity to the San Francisco headquarters, allowing their engineers to be on a plane and commute back and forth in a single day. I just wanted to note that biotech is considered a cluster industry where firms are often geographically concentrated and share resources and talent. So with the big Twist investment in Wilsonville, it is possible that others will follow, helping to grow the biotech industry in the Portland region. I'll now pass it over to Nick to walk us through the Twist WIN application and the projected tax rebate amount.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. As we mentioned earlier in the work session today, there are 2 key components of the WIN program that were improvements upon the original TIF zones. That's flexibility, where the qualifying businesses don't have to meet both thresholds of jobs and employment, but can have more of one and less of another while still qualifying for the incentive. And then the second was the 2-tiered system, where there is a lower tier of businesses that might not quite meet the thresholds that we were originally interested in, but still are a solid investment in the community and therefore could qualify for a lower threshold of benefits. Those 2 changes to the original TIF zone program don't come into play with Twist because Twist has such high levels of investment and such high levels of employment that it's really nearly off the charts in terms of the types of businesses that have been considered for the WIN program or the earlier TIF zones. And we can see that here where Twist, in terms of their jobs and investment on the slide, are to the far top right corner of this chart compared to the hypothetical businesses that were looked at previously. I will say that one element of the revamped WIN program that was particularly useful for Twist was the geographic flexibility of not identifying and establishing sites ahead of time. Jordan mentioned earlier that this project is only taking a portion of the Xerox site because that's the only portion that Twist is going to occupy. That's helpful not only for making sure that the right property tax abatements and rebates go to Twist, that there's not other tenants in the building that are making investments that are generating property taxes that would get caught up in this whole scenario. So it does keep a clean and accurate accounting of the taxes paid and the rebate given. But on top of that, it allows the property owner to continue to pursue other tenants in the future that could also be subject to the program and continue to market this program in their site. And I know, Jordan, you had previous conversations earlier on when Twist wasn't going to take up quite so much of the building, where I think the property owner was definitely interested in continuing to market the WIN program. So again, this slide just shows where Twist is in terms of qualifying for the program, the number of points that it receives from its investment, and the number of jobs and wages, and it is well above the qualifying threshold for the full 7-year tax rebate program. And the next slide shows what that rebate is estimated to be worth. This focuses on the rebate value for the first year, the first of 7 years that the site would qualify for the rebate program. It's estimated that there would be $70 million of new investment on the site. That includes $30 million of machinery and equipment and $40 million of improvements to the building itself. We estimate that $70 million of investment would translate to $48.7 million of net new assessed value. There are uncertainties regarding that until the actual construction occurs and until the state and local county assessor decide whose responsibility it is to actually assess the building, as there are some differences in methodologies between the state and the local county assessor. Based on the conservative estimate that we've shown here for the amount of new assessed value, that would generate $944,000 of property taxes paid by Twist in the first year. Of those taxes, not quite $600,000 would go to the urban renewal area, to the WIN program. That's 63% of the total. And the reason for that is that the local option levies and general obligation bonds that some jurisdictions impose in the area are not subject to the WIN program and will continue to go to those taxing districts as usual. As mentioned earlier, this is only the benefits in year one. Jordan was saying that Twist was particularly motivated to come to Wilsonville because of the savings of at least $2.8 million on property taxes over the next 7 years. The actual amount will depend not only on the initial valuation, as I mentioned, there's some uncertainty regarding that, but then also on the future increases or decreases in that property value over time. And a lot of that will have to do with how the assessor views the individual pieces of machinery on site and what time frame that depreciation schedule is on. Ultimately, though, we are looking at something between 2.8 and 5.6 million in terms of the total value of the tax rebate over that 7-year period. And with that, Jordan, I think I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you, Nick. Just a couple quick notes on implementation. So there's a lot of staff time to put these site-specific urban renewal plans together, and I think that may be one reason they're not as common. I know other states like Texas, I've heard, use site-specific urban renewal, but in Oregon, it's not as typical to use a program like this. So we envision about a 2 to 3 month timeline to get this incentive approved, pending council support. The first action that we're talking about tonight is the adoption of the Twist Bioscience Development Agreement by Resolution 315, codifying the terms of the agreement between the two entities. And as a reminder, the construct of this program is pay for performance. So there will be a true up process every year where the business only receives the rebate after they followed through with their obligations and tax payments. So just to reemphasize what Nick noted, all the numbers you're looking at are an estimate, and each year those will be verified based on the actual assessed value of the site. So you'll see in the agreement that Twist is required to pay taxes upfront and on time and provide the city verification of their commitments by January 31st of each year. Then the city will review and verify and provide the rebate to Twist by July 21st of each year after deducting a 10% administrative cost to cover staffing to run the program. So at the next meeting, we'll go into more detail on the creation of the site-specific urban renewal area. So we'll bring back a Twist Bioscience Wind Zone report and plan that go into all of the details around the financial impacts, the impacts to the overlapping taxing districts. And so as part of that process, we will we'll engage the Urban Renewal Agency again to authorize implementation of the urban renewal zone. And then following that, we'll commence a consult and confer process with the taxing districts, where we'll send out a communication to all of the impacted taxing districts, and we'll brief the Clackamas County Commissioners and other taxing districts on the impacts to their agencies. Following that, we'll go to the Planning Commission to ensure conformance to the comprehensive plan. And then the last step will be to come back to council in August for a public hearing on non-emergency ordinance, where we'll bring back the comments from the taxing districts as well as a final Twist wind zone plan and report for council's review. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Council President Aukerball.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. And it's really exciting to see this new program embraced with such a big investment in the community with the initial application. So that's really, really exciting to see. I did have one question in the packet. See page 21 of our packet, 22, you know, there's a map. It's like an aerial view map, and there's a little red outline around the project site, and there's two different maps, and they have slightly different areas. Is this, as you were describing, because only a portion of the Xerox site is being used and perhaps that footprint of the project has changed, or what's being displayed by these two differing maps?
So that was an error in the staff report that we corrected. So apologies for that. There should be a revised council report that went out. I'll show you on this on my screen. The correct map is a map that shows 190,000 square feet or 4.4 acres. So the project was paused for a minute because Twist expanded their project area and basically doubled their investment. And so the larger of the two maps is the accurate map.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, and speaking with our parliamentarian here on the next step, I believe we would want to, we're ready for the vote?
Just for a motion and.
Right. So do I have a motion on Resolution 315, Councilor West?
I got one. I move to approve URA Resolution number 315.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we will move to continuing business, and we're going to have a public hearing on URA Resolution 317. And I believe I would want to start with the agency council reading that resolution.
Yes, Your Honor. URA Resolution Number 317, a resolution of the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Wilsonville adopting the budget, making appropriations, and declaring the intent to collect tax increment for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
In our staff report.
Hello, my name is Keith Katko. I'm the city's Assistant Finance Director, and this is just a quick summary of the urban renewal budget, which was also approved by the Budget Committee back in May. So I just have two quick slides on the total resources for the budget and then the total expenses. Total resources, $62.2 million will equal the requirements. And that's broken out in columnar form by the 3 existing districts. It doesn't include the new wind district because it hadn't been established yet and there is no budget for it yet. So the tax increment for the 2 districts, the year 2000 and the west side are under levied. And so that's why when you read the motion for the resolution, it's rather long because the motion is to set those at specific tax increment levels, so it makes the motion a bit longer because we under levy for the year 2000 district at 4.1 million and the west side at 5.1 million, and those are the same as they were status quo from last year. Coffee Creek, see, it's got a $300,000 tax increment expectations for next year. It's kind of just getting started. So total proposed tax increment for all 3 districts combined will be 9.5 million and fits to the 62.3. Those 16.2 debt proceeds, those are the 2 overnight loans from the general fund, one to the year 2000 fund and one to the West Side fund. Total requirements, and basically there's 3 capital projects happening in the urban renewal districts next year. The 5th Street to Kinsman project, the Beckman Dip project on the year 2000, and for the west side, just getting started on the Brown Road CIP to total 10.1 million. The large debt service budget there includes the payback of the 2 overnight general fund loans, as well as the potential to, especially in the west side district, to pay down some of the existing outstanding bonds. I think there's about 19 million in outstanding bonds, and we may be in a position to pay some of those off as we prepare the trajectory for the year 2000 in the west side to move to close those districts over the next few years. So basically have to pay off the debt, complete the CIP projects, and then move forward with the closing down. So that is the total requirements. And I think Beth may have the motion language unless there's any additional questions.
Who gets that one?
I'll do that one. I think we actually have it in our packet, so.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to check in with our parliamentarian again, because I believe that we need to have a public hearing script for this, Urban Renewal Agency. Public hearing script, and I would call together the public hearing, call to order.
Yeah.
Yep, your legislative script.
And we already had the resolution read for us, so I will call to order the Wilsonville Renewal Agency public hearing on URA resolution number 317 as has been read. Ladies and gentlemen, the Urban Renewal Agency will be taking public testimony tonight at the public hearing. The hearing will be conducted in the following manner. Staff will present their report as you heard. We will now, when I complete this portion, hear testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor or against the proposed resolution. I'm going to actually stop right there because I didn't ask if anyone had any questions. Did I? There are no questions? Okay, I'm going to continue. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic and Governor Brown's emergency order, this meeting is being held also remotely by Zoom. Information regarding how the public could attend the meeting remotely and give testimonies posted at City Hall and was also timely published in the Wilsonville Spokesman and is also posted on the city's website shown on the screen. Notice was given that testimony could be submitted for the record in advance in writing by emailing or mailing it to the city recorder. If you are listening to this meeting remotely, when the time for public testimony is called, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone if you would like to testify. If you prefer and have not already done so, please also submit written testimony by email at any time before the public hearing is closed by emailing the city recorder at the email address now being shown on the screen. Any testimony sent by email will be read into the record. Please include your name and mailing address with your email testimony. If you're having difficulties with these instructions, you may call the number shown on the screen and enter webinar ID number shown on the screen when prompted. When called up to testify, state your full name and address for the record. I request from those providing testimony not to repeat testimony that has already been given to the Urban Renewal Agency. Simply indicating you agree with the prior testimony given by a speaker you identify as sufficient. Is there any testimony?
I'm sorry you had to read all that.
The hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Wait, the motion disappeared. Oh, here it is. You're going, okay.
Your Honor, I move for approval of the 2021-22 proposed budget for the Urban Renewal Agency in the amount of $62,266,300 and set the increment assessed value in the West Side Plan District to approximately $401,210,000, which will generate an estimated levy of $5 million and set the increment assessed value in the year 2000 Plan District to approximately $322 million, which will generate an estimated levy of $4,200,000, and levy the full amount of the divide the taxes amount for the Coffee Creek District.
Is there a second for discussion purposes?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Discussion can now take place. I have really good instructions on this one. Is there any discussion?
I've just turned mine on, so.
Oh, Counselor Linville.
The only discussion I would like to say is just to remind us that we actually, in the Budget Committee, reviewed all of these, the budget for the Urban Renewal Agency, and so we have spent previous time going over all of these numbers, so this is not new information to us.
Thank
Apparently 7 hours.
Before you vote, can I just take my last opportunity to say thank you to Kathy for such an outstanding, dedicated career in Wilsonville, and this being her last budget. I can only imagine how giddy you must feel right now.
And it is your last meeting,
Last meeting.
and so thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. So that was a good discussion. And yes, we did have thorough detail and discussion at the Budget Committee meeting. Thank you, Keith, also. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I will now adjourn the Urban Renewal meeting at this time at 9:17 p.m.
Not bad.
Goodbye.
5 public hearings.
There's a